Hello. We're just gonna get right into this one. I'm wearing a microphone, but the heater's still running, so it might be a little bit loud. And I don't have a good plan for this video, but I figure we're just gonna jump into it because I wanted to start making these videos. I feel like a dork making them, but we're just gonna go for it. And I think today is a good one to start with because I'm doing Gravel World's Winter Endurance in 4 weeks. And this is my bike I'm gonna be using. Last year, I made a big mistake and brought this bike, but I also brought a fat bike, which is in the shed. And hours before the race, I switched to the fat bike, and I'm gonna blame that for my catastrophic failure on that race. Probably some other factors I went into, but we're going with that one. Well, this year, instead of being freaked out about the snow and the ice on the course, and panicking and going to the fat bike, again, fully committed to gravel bikes. So I got these things. You know, you can still hear me. That's the cool part about this. I think I'm out of frame, but you can still hear me. I got these things. These marathon tires with studs in them, which are supposed to be awesome. And they're only 40s, which is like super skinny compared to today's standards. But, you know, they should be good. So, all right, we got the wheel off. You might be saying like, well, why are you doing this? Why would you figure this out on the fly? Well, it's winter. Outside now it's like, I can't remember, it's gonna be -15 or -20 something on Friday. Like all-time weather low. Thank God that global warming doesn't exist. But that means that it's winter hours for the bike shop, so they don't open until noon. And I'm not like a total idiot when it comes to this stuff, just a minor one. So I think I can do it. Like I understand tubes, I've put tubes in before, only a couple times. But I'm also curious, like I did Gravel World's Summer Edition in August, and I barely touched this bike since then. I've been spinning the wheels once in a while, but I'm kind of curious to see how much sealant is left in there and like still good. So we're gonna give it a shot. And should probably put gloves on. I feel like we're getting to that point where it's gonna get gross. Oh yeah, all right, hold on. We're gonna get some of these. Funny story about these gloves. Hilarious story about these gloves. We got this package one day with these gloves in it, and neither of us ordered them. I mean, it's a weird thing to order, is a box of medical gloves, powder-free exam gloves. And we were like, oh, somebody's order got messed up, but it was our address and our information on the box. So it wasn't like it was the wrong address, it was our address. And that was months ago, that was in the summer, but we do camping stuff. So we're like, oh, well, that's fortunate. Like, don't know how exactly to return these things, but we'll just go with it. Turns out that was the first of a couple dozen fraud orders on our Amazon account. And we got like another thing that was odd, like a little trinket or something like that neither of us knew why. We're both like, why'd you order this thing? Well, we didn't. Tire levers, I have those. I should probably use those. And that was like, we had like 4 months of fraud on our card and our Amazon account, probably from a camping trip. Somebody probably scammed it during a camping trip and just started using it. And a couple of the orders, they screwed up and used our shipping address for their fraudulent charges. But we weren't thinking of that. We thought it was just a mistake because sometimes Amazon makes mistakes. I'm gonna get some tire levers, hold on a second. God, I'm sure I'm doing this out of order right now. I probably need a bigger pile of napkins. So that was it. We thought it was a happy little accident. Turns out it was the first sign of fraud. And thousands of dollars we had to get back. Katie got it back. I didn't do anything. Katie got it back. But yeah, thousands of dollars of fraud later, we figured out that it was our first indicator that something had gone terribly wrong. Real smart. So, but now we're using them. Now we get to use those things. We get to use the fraudulent gift to do cool stuff, like get real gross. All right, so there's a decent amount of sealant in there still. I think I saw a video one time where they said like 2 spokes worth should span, and there's not quite that much in there, but it's a decent amount. I mean, it's gonna be messy, that's for sure. So can I just sneak this off? Get this whole thing out? Yeah, baby. I'm sure this is the wrong way to do it. Please don't tell me if it is, because it's working. Get that out. Dude, what do I do with all? I need a bigger space. And then we're gonna take these guys and do one of these to get that a little soaked up. I'm sure in the shop you just dump this stuff, right? But we're not there. We're in my garage. So we're just gonna dump it here. Guys, this is just killing some of your insides, like watching me do this. People who know what you're supposed to be doing. This is driving you crazy. Good. Suffer. All right, get that because there's some holes in there. And we gotta do a little more cleaning. Dude, if this happened on the side of the road and I had to put a tube in this thing, I'd be not screwed, but this would be super gross. Maybe I'll start carrying gloves in my bag just in case this happens. This would be a disaster. Side of the road, you're all sweaty and gross. You're looking for things to clean up a cup of tire sealant in baking terms. I don't want to get that on the rotor probably. That would be not cool. What do you like, use a sock or something? You take off your sock and wipe this crap up. Oh yeah, dude. Probably look pretty pro doing this right now. But if you just started watching during that clip, you're like, dang, this guy knows what he's doing. Spoiler alert, I don't. All right, get this out of the way. I'm just gonna put this over here. A little more of these. Now, the stuff I read said, like, don't worry too much about cleaning 100% of the sealant off because it's not gonna really matter. So we'll see how clean it gets. This stuff's pretty stinking resilient feeling though. It doesn't feel like it wants to come off. I feel like it likes living there and wants to be there forever. Heck yeah, dude. Dude, am I a pro at this? Oof, that was close. Should I be a bike mechanic forever? Crap. Nope. Sure shouldn't. How's this thing? I'll just push it. Heck yeah. Let's go. Get out of there, you little booger. Myself a little cushion for the pushing. There we go. Nice. Get on out. Gross. I wonder how to clean those out. It seems like it's something that has to be done. Clean. All right. So I think we're good, dude. Ew, gunky. I think we're on to the get your tube and put the tube in portion here pretty soon. Which, to be fair, that's what I heard was like this is the longest part, cleaning the rim and the gunk out of it. And then once the gunk's out of it, you're pretty good because it's not like gonna break the seal or anything. So as long as the rim seats in the little hook area, should be good. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm a professional. It's hard to tell, but whoop, that could be a problem. I don't know, dude. It's just amazing, like the things that you think could be a problem, and you take it to the bike shop, they're like, nah, it's no problem. And you like agonize over it because you don't know how fine of a detail you need or like how goofy it needs to be. I think the best story I ever heard of that was like a guy was a mechanic that I worked with, and he was talking about carbon bikes. And he was like, yeah, we were learning how to do all this torque stuff, and I went to this class or whatever, and the specs, and everybody's scared of carbon stuff. I am. I'm terrified of carbon stuff. But it's like, here's the range. It's like 3 Newton meters of torque. And the guy was like, well, when I do it to 3 Newton meters of torque, it still like clicks or something like that. I can't remember what the problem was. And he's like, but I don't want to go over 3 Newton meters and void the warranty and damage the product. And the guy was like, try 5. And the guy, and like, what do you mean try 5? So he was basically like, no, just almost double the torque on it and we'll just see if that works. And so I think that just goes to show you like, there's a bigger margin of error with this stuff than we think. So maybe we're okay tinkering with it. Obviously I came from a childhood of tinkering with this stuff, but when you're an adult and you're spending your own money on it, tinkering seems a little less smart and a little more expensive. So I think we can get away from that, but all this stuff is tinkerable, right? Like, that's the whole point of it, is it's a bike, not a spaceship. Well, this bike is not a spaceship. Some bikes are spaceships. Back with part 2, well, I guess part 204. Because it's like tubeless off, and then new tire is part 1, new tire on is part 2. Dude, I haven't changed a tube in a while, so let's see how this goes. Work with me, learn with me, people. But this is, I mean, this is the epitome of everyday dork cyclist. Like, pan racer levers I got from an event, a race, cheap pump, doing stuff in your garage and screwing it up so you gotta take it to the bike shop later. Is that just the way the amateur cyclist is supposed to be? I think so. A little bit of air in there, from what I remember. Goes on here. There's the hole. There we go. Starting real basic on the old lifespan of this project. Well, success. Consider it done. All right, let's get the tire. What I do remember screwing up before is the direction of these tires, of tires in general. Definitely screwed that up before. So we're gonna try to not do that the first time. Why do people hate these little locking rings? They seem like an important thing, but people are like, get rid of those in your valve stem caps. Is it a weight thing? That's stupid for me, but maybe valuable to someone else. All right, let me think of the steps here. I think I'm supposed to do the inside bead first before I do the tube. Dude, we're off to a good start. These stupid lock nuts, you should throw these away. That took way too much time. All right, so this has got to go this way because the rotor goes on the left and it's directional that way, right? Where's my little arrow? I mean, the tread looks like it goes that way. So we're just going to do that way because that's got to be that way. Final look. Yes, rotation. All right, I remember it goes on. Pretty unnerving hearing the studs rub against the outside of the rim. It's cool. Man, these things are stiff. Holy smokes. I think the key is just not be afraid of it, right? Like, it's just rubber and steel, aluminum. Who knows? That is a misshapen tire right there. Stiff. All right, let's check again. Left. Rotation that way. Now I got to put the tube in. The other thing I heard about this was like, don't sit down. Oh, but then somebody else said sit down. All right, tube goes in here. Massive success. Oh boy, this is gonna be an issue. Like this whole situation, I mean, this is what I feared last time. This is what got me. This is what got me. I'm already having flashbacks of screwing this up. Holy smokes, the fear is immediately back. Immediately. Like, I was almost just like, put it in the car, just take it to the bike shop, you're done. Okay, so this is a problem. That should not be there. Sneak this to the outside without messing up the tube. There we go. But how are you supposed to do that? You gotta put that on first. God, I'm an idiot. All right. Let's troubleshoot that in a second. Not the way you're supposed to do it. Don't do this part like I am. That's stupid. Freaking jeez Louise. What is the hang up here, people? There we go. All right, hopefully it didn't put a hole in the tube. I'll find out in 12 to 15 minutes when this thing goes on. All right, so now we're supposed to start here. where the thing is. You're also supposed to line up the logo with the valve, which I didn't do, so we're not going to do. Oh, amateur hour. We'll just line it up with this opposite side. How about that? Yeah, perfect, obviously. All right, everybody happy in there? And you're supposed to start, I think, at the valve side, right? And start sneaking this thing in, but these things are so stinking rigid already. So let's see. In there, in there, in there, in there, in there, in there. Not in there. Get in there. There we go. Now it's coming back to me. Now we're starting to remember how bad this was. Oh my God, I just figured. Dude, the last time I did this with a regular tube, I remember you had to like push this around, but these have studs on them, like metal spikes. How am I gonna do that? Like, how in the world am I gonna grind my, I mean, gloves obviously, but well, I might have just jinxed myself because it went on right away. Is that the easiest tire I've ever put on? Yes. Does that make me concerned that I screwed it up? Yes. Am I unable to take something good and just think it's going to be good and that something bad's going to happen? Because it has to? Yes. Are these compatible with this rim? We'll see. All right, let's pump it up. Obviously, I need to put this washer back on. Obviously, I bent the thing, put it on like an idiot. So that's the other shoe that dropped. That was it. I bent the valve when I was monkeying with it and forcing it in like an idiot. Turns out being an idiot's a stupid move. Oh, God, idiot. But I only have 2 tubes. The other one's in the shed. All right, well, I'm gonna bend it back. I don't want to do that because I don't want this to break when I'm using it. If I'm manned it, I jam. Ow, and there it is. Did I fix it? Yep. That little pop you heard was success. Obviously, that's what most of the time when you hear a pop like that, it means you did something exactly correct. And you should never worry about it again. All right, let's try it. Let's get that a little more seated. Make sure the bead looks all right. My little locking ring, the most important part. That keeps it tight. Man. All right, that goes on here. Let's see. Cool. Oh boy, popping already. Dude, this is the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Let's see. How's the bead looking? Remember this part? I think we're good. I can't believe it. That leads me to believe that the second one's going to be an absolute nightmare. That's what it makes me think. So I'm just going to keep going on this a minute. I'm going to go up to 60. Because I don't know why. And then we're going to go down to 30. I think that's more the pressure that I want on here. So stupid. That's about it. Dude, tire on? Tire's on. Tire's on. All right, tire number 2. Where'd my coffee go? One thing I noticed immediately about this setup I'm doing today is how crazy heavy, I shouldn't say crazy heavy, how heavy these tires are. Like these 2 things feel almost equal to my tiny brain. Like they're similar. All right, part 2. Put this over here. Need that. And we'll start just the same process. It's no big deal. Got all our parts and pieces. It's all good. Oh, I gotta get the other valve out of the shed. So if you want to hear an epic failure story, that'd be last year's Gravel Worlds Winter Endurance. And man, that was a low point in my non-existent amateur cycling career. But it was bad. I DNF'd. Luckily, to save a little bit of my mental capacity, I pulled out at 40 miles in, and then like half an hour later, they started pulling people off the course because it was like whiteout conditions. So that felt good. Like I wouldn't have finished anyways, but at least they would have had to drag me off instead of me quitting and having Katie pick me up at 40 miles. But it was just rough. And that's, like I said, this is most of the reason why I'm going to these tires now, is because I learned my lesson. We're gonna get the paper towels ahead of time. I freaked out, as I do, the night before the race because I heard it was icy and gross, and I was like, well, gravel bike is not gonna be able to do that. And I was like, I think I can 50-50 it. And then the more I heard about it, oh boy, these are all dried up. The more I heard about it, the more I was like, oof, maybe the fat bike's the way to go. So I brought my fat bike just in case, but I didn't put any thought into bringing my fat bike besides just putting it in the truck and going out there. And that was a big mistake because when I went to go switch stuff to the fat bike, I didn't have, I basically would have had to take the stem, the pedals, the seat post, the seat, everything off of this gravel bike and put it on the fat bike. But I didn't start working on it till like 9 o'clock at night because we were out having dinner because we left the kids at home. It was our first time out in a while. So we got back to the hotel at like 9 or so, and I was like, I'll just switch over the pedals real quick and that'll be fine. Well, the fat bike is set up as a mountain bike, obviously. So short stem, low seat, because I usually have Sawyer on the ride seat in the middle, a bit in front of it. Comfort saddle. One of the pedals is locked up, like completely seized. So I rounded off 2 tools, like hex keys, trying to get that off, like a goofball. Holy smokes, is this gross. You hear that? Oh, this is gonna be a grosser one. Could not for the life of me get my Garmin to sync and download the route that we were supposed to be doing. So I was up till like 12:30 or 1 trying to get all this stuff done. Still didn't make any progress, truly. There was a lot more in this one. Didn't make any progress. Woke up early, messed with my Garmin for like 2 more hours. Couldn't get it to sync. Called the bike shop, still not open because it was like a Saturday, so they didn't open until 8 o'clock. The race was at 9. Luckily, Gravel Worlds is an amazing group of people, and I had made a casual friendship with the race director, Jason and Sophia. So as a last-ditch effort, I texted him and said, dude, I'm screwed. I'm gonna stop by the bike shop at 8 when it opens, but I cannot for the life of me get my head unit to sync with the race. Like I just cannot download the file. This guy had his wife go back to his house and grab his brand new, like amazing Garmin 1080 or whatever the big one was at the time, or I'm sure it still is, I'm sure it isn't, and let me borrow that. Got to the bike shop, got the pedal off, switched the pedals, forgot about the stem and the seat, and basically got to the event center, put my warm clothes the rest of the way on, and then took off. I didn't really map out my nutrition. I didn't really get enough water figured out. But I was like, I've done this a few times before. I've done the winter endurance one time before and the summer race twice, I think, at that point. I can make it. We pulled out, and it was like the most hellacious conditions. It was a wind chill of like 10, I think. Geez Louise. The wind chill was like 10, and it was like 30-mile-an-hour gusts, and sustained of like 15 winds. And so I averaged like 6 miles an hour in the second 10 miles. And I was like, this is going to be bad. At 20 miles in, I was ready to quit. At like 15 miles, I realized, or like 25 miles, I realized my seat was too low and my gel seat had frozen. And so I was getting these massive cramps in my hamstrings, like right up by my butt. And, ooh, a little booger, a little sealant booger. And seal puncture. Holy smokes. Dude, it works. Oh no. Is it a booger? Just a booger. Massive cramps up in my hamstrings, like by my butt, and I could not put any pressure on the pedals. So I stopped for like 10 minutes, brought my seat up like 2 inches. It just felt miserable. At that point, I realized I hadn't really drinking or eaten anything at like 20, 25 miles in. And in my head, again, didn't prepare well enough for it. In my head, it was a 63 or 65 mile race, and there's a gas station stop in my brain at 30 miles. And I knew that because I had done it the year prior, and that was the halfway point. Well, it wasn't, because I didn't look at the map. It was a little bit different course, and the gas station was at 40 miles this time. So I was like, I just got to make it 5 more miles. This is at the 15, 20 mile mark. I started negotiating with myself, and I was like, dude, I can make it 15 more miles. I can make it 5 more miles. Well, 5 more miles later, there was no gas station. And 10 more miles later, there was no gas station. And 15 miles later, there's no gas station. And I was just going down and down and down. And I averaged about 8 miles an hour through all this because of the headwinds. And there was 1 or 2 minimum maintenance roads that were about a foot of snow. And even with the fat bike, I was so burnt that I could coast on the downhill, but I basically had to walk the thing uphill. So at that point, I was just like mentally toast. And I was frustrated because I was like, I literally have the bike that you're supposed to be able to ride in snow with, and I'm walking this bike for a mile. And I was so frustrated and so fried and so depleted at that point, I just could not make sense of it. Like my brain refused to problem solve. All it would do was complain and tell me to quit. So I did. And I had like these terrible moments out there of feeling stupid and self-loathing of like, what are you doing, man? Like you just dragged your wife across several states to this bike race, paid a bunch of money to stay in a hotel, left your kids with, that would be a problem, it's totally clogged up. Left your kids with a babysitter or the mother-in-law so you could come out here and suck at this bike race. And that was like the low point. So I had myself a little cry, rolled into the gas station 40 miles. Immediately, I had texted Katie because I had to pull over on the side of the road because I had cramps in my legs, to clarify that. And stopped for like a 20-minute break to try to let the cramps subside because I couldn't really straighten my leg out anymore. I was screwed. I really screwed myself with that approach of not preparing. And texted Katie. I said, can you pick me up at the gas station? Still had like 7 miles to get there. I know my mileage in the story is jumping all over the place, but it was a mess. Got there. One of the sweeper cars had met her there and was warning her, like, if he wants to keep going, it's going to be tight. Like, we're probably going to pull him off in half an hour, even if he wants to keep going. She assured them that I would not be going because she didn't want me to do the 100K distance in the first place. When we woke up, the wind, like hitting our hotel room window, woke us up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And she was like not on board with me doing the 100K. And I was like, nah, I'll just do it. I can do it. And I was also frustrated and irritated with the computer and the bike at that point. So I was like, I'm going all for this thing. Like I got a lot of frustration to pour into this race. Well, I didn't. I just had a lot of tiredness, turns out, fatigue. So after the race, so I get back and I quit and it's sad, blah, blah, blah. After the race, I was like, man, why I got to commit to this gravel bike because two things. I wasn't riding the fat bike in the snow anyways, so what's the point of having the fat bike? It's an extra like 10 or 15 pounds, legitimately, on the gravel bike. So I'd rather carry the gravel bike on my shoulder than push the fat bike through the snow. The other thing is I train on the gravel bike and on the stationary bike, and in generally the same position, and I'm not going to set up my fat bike in that position because I like to use it as a mountain bike and tool around with the kids, so I'm not going to stretch it out and put the seat higher and use clipless pedals for that. So I'm not training on that bike in that position. I'm not going to use it for that purpose. I'm not going to keep it set up like that in the long term. So why wouldn't I just double down on the gravel bike that I'm comfortable on and use that? So that's why I got these tires. That's why I'm stupid enough to go back for another year of this. But I'm motivated this time because I screwed up last time. So I really want to do well. I really want to do well. I just want to finish. Like, I've never been super competitive with gravel racing because I'm not able to be. I'm not good enough to be competitive. What keeps clicking over here? But here's what I look for in races. I just want to finish and feel good and not be considered super slow. So if I can push like a decent pace or a decent effort for the 5 to 6 hours it's going to take to do this thing, and then not feel like I was crawling, and then feel good about my effort, and then finish and not be completely wrecked. Like, that's a huge victory for me, and that's what I'm looking for out of these things. I'm not looking to like get podiums. I just want to feel capable, and like once in a while feel fast. Like that's a majority of it. Gotta put this on. So that kind of brings us to now. So, like I said, I'm not looking to be super fast. I just want to have a good time, dude. I want to have a good time. I want to feel capable. I want to feel like strong occasionally. Where's the hole? I just want to feel good riding. And I know it's impossible because you're going to ride so far that eventually it's going to be difficult, right? But like, that's part of it. I'm not looking for it to be easy. I want to feel good while it's difficult. That makes more sense. And then it's also like, well, it's not gonna be too difficult because I get to control that. So I get to literally stop pedaling so hard if it becomes too difficult, which is nice. I did try to be, I wouldn't say competitive, but like hang with a faster group one time. Oh, that was not fun. I immediately knew I did not want to do that. They were having fun. I was in like my first pace line ever. These guys were having a great time. I was dying. And then they knew I wasn't like the strongest rider. I probably wasn't supposed to be in their group. So they were like encouraging, which is pretty cool. But also you could tell they were just waiting for me to stop, just trying to stay on. And it didn't take long. I hung with them for like, it was a 60-mile race, I think. And I think I hung with them for the first 20 miles, and I got spit out. And I'll tell you that so then I chased for like another 5 miles, never caught back up. And I will tell you that second 30 miles of that race was the hardest thing I've ever done, except for when I quit Gravel Worlds. But it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. I was dying. My legs had already given up several times. And I started cramping again because I was not meant to be pushing that hard, and I was not supposed to. But I figured, why not? Like, I feel good, and these guys are cool, so I might as well try. What the heck is going on here? Just went right on. That was a tough race. That was also the only race I've ever beaten my Garmin virtual riding partner, and I came into the finish line just hurting. And it was so dang it, it was so tough. I pushed so hard that in the last like 15 miles of this race, they have this grass section, which is like everybody's cool thing now, I guess. Go through grass that horses have trampled. And it should be cool. Like, I got the right tires for it, and like it should be fine if you pace yourself, but I had blown myself out. So I got to that grass section. It was just a slow, painful like, oh, like I didn't enjoy it. And I was bummed because I was like, well, this is what the whole race was about, was like this like through a farm cyclocross style grass section. I was so tired that I couldn't even like put power down to make it fun. I was just like bouncing along the way like grossly. And so after that I was like, well, I don't want to be fast anymore. Like I don't want to do that again. I had my taste of being a low level, not amateur, uncompetitive group rider, and I did not enjoy it at all. So after that I was like, well, that took a lot of pressure off. Like now I can just go hang out and have fun. Like that actually was very beneficial to me because after that race, I was literally in it for the party and the hang and to have a good bike ride. And that was like 2 months before Gravel Worlds, which is obviously a massive event. And man, did that take a lot of pressure off for that. That was pretty awesome because then I was like, dude, nobody knows me. This is a massive like competitive field at that thing. I'm gonna be middle of the pack at best. And I know that I don't even want to be competitive because the amount of effort it takes to be competitive, I don't want to put out, which sounds hilariously lazy, but like I saw how much work it took to be in the not competitive group in like the sport field. and I was like, I don't like that. So I could either like go crazy on the training and then be comfortable in that field, but that's not how much I can or want to train. So the amount that I can train leads me to be just a fun party dude, recreational rider, which I think I'm okay with. That was easy. I've been scared of this thing for way too long. Let's put him back on. All right, here we have it. I had to bring it down because I had a little issue with getting the rear wheel in. So I did what I was supposed to do and yanked on the rotor with my greasy hands enough until it went in. I think that's what they told me to do. Those are the original instructions I got. There we go. Get on in there, silly. Dude, we're done. We got monster truck tires, monster truck 40s. Mother love. Did I put this on backwards? No, I'm good. Monster truck 40s. My first gravel bike rides or races I did were on 38s, and I thought they looked awesome. Oh man, these look skinny. And then obviously I went to like, right now I'm on 45s or 47s. Those are Thunduros, super awesome tires. So these being 40s look skinny, but they're not. Cool, man. Still lighter than the fat bike. Ice compatible. Better position, more comfortable. I think we're doing good. I think we're gonna be in a good spot. I'm excited. And it looks wild. It looks just kick ass. So, dude, we're there. All right. Gotta clean up. Thanks for hanging out. There's no way you watch this whole thing. I wouldn't. But I'm glad you did, probably. Adios. Good job. Good job, me.